People online, don't come over the mic unless you just want people in the video to hear your voice in a playback, and also don't turn your camera on for security purposes. Board account. I haven't really given you a whole lot of opportunities to talk right yet, and you're probably overwhelmed with everything I just said, but maybe not. Maybe you're just like, whatever, this is everything he's talked about for 5 days now. So try to stay on top of everything. The Google Meets, some of you have been in them, some of you have not. They're highly recommended. I cannot make them mandatory, and I cannot count all for you not being there. But what I can say is when you send me an email about how you don't understand something, I will send you a recording of the Google Meet. It will be an hour and some minutes long, and you will have to watch that. I cannot give you a personal 5-minute video because you don't understand something if you're not willing to come to the Google Meets. Does that make sense? I am willing to help. I'm not telling you do not reach out for help. How many times have I answered some questions for you already? A few, because you haven't had a ton, right? We've only had 2 things to do, but I've answered the questions as best as I could. I'm not here to scold you, and I'm not even, scold's not the right word. I'm just here to make sure that you're doing your part. You do your part, you'll pass. Okay? We've done 2 lessons. Do not get behind in your work. You will feel like you are drowning. Let's just do it today. Let's move to the engage for today. Engages are here to just get us started into what we're doing. You will do this in Canvas. So I want you to get your phone out because it's not on this paper. It says your warm-up. Your warm-up is not the EQ. You do not have to answer the essential question in the warm-up. Okay? You don't have to do that. Your warm-up is to answer the question underneath. The EQ is to tell us what we're doing today. I may move it because I've still had so many people answer that question, even though it's not necessary. So, situation, Wheatmore High School homecoming queen elections are shown below. And a preference schedule. Here they are, first, second, third, fourth, right? Using the polarity method, who is the homecoming queen? Type it out. Tell me why. Get your phone out. Yes. Who asked that? Yes. Whoever has the highest first choice is the winner. That Ian.
The answer is A.
Hey, they got to work on it themselves, Bryson. Don't just give out the answer.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
You're right.
Tell me why, Bryson, don't say it out loud. Tell me why that is the answer to this particular problem. He did? I think it was probably just to tell me what the answer was. Mm-hmm. The top should say 1.3 engage on the problem that you're doing. Uh-huh. Yep, just hit reply underneath, type your answer out, hit submit. I'll get it, I'll grade it. It should sync with PowerSchool. If you don't put it in Canvas, it doesn't always sync with PowerSchool. So you need to submit your work to Canvas. I know some teachers in the past have you can turn it in by paper. I don't know if you had a teacher that did that, but put it on Canvas for your protection and mine. That way, if you get a 0, you're like, I turned it in, but you threw away your paper, you have it uploaded in there. Three replies. Yes, I need to change that, but I'm not going to right now.
Hey, Mr. Hall.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well, other than the fact that I might have COVID.
Oh, well, let's not speak that into existence.
It's Kimmy did that for me. My question is, on plurality, whenever you have a tie between first place winners, do you break that tie with the least amount of last place votes?
So if you have a tie through polarity, the next instructions it'll tell you in the problem what tiebreaker to use. So there's multiple different tiebreak rules. It depends on the company or the election, but that's one of them. So yes, that is a possibility. The other possibility is the head-to-head matchup that we did as part C.
In the 1.3 engage, what tiebreaker is it going to be? I don't see.
There is none. I just want to see if people didn't just look at columns or if they looked at numbers. So I didn't put a tie break because that would be a tip off.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Which method do you want us to use?
Neither. Just put who's the winner by what you like. If there's a tie, put that.
Oh, okay.
Get your canvas open and I know we got one that might need a little bit more time. Does anybody else need more time?
No.
So you don't mind being on that video, huh?
Who are you talking to, me?
Yeah, you. You're the only one who's talking.
No, my bad.
It's fun. It's fun. Is it not projected? Okay. Cool. Thank you.
I mean, that beautiful screen, but it'll be.
There we go. I should be sharing with you now. Sorry that was not sharing earlier. I guess I'll cut that out of the video. Okay. To remind you, for the engaged, all it's asking about is polarity. Who has the most first place votes? And I told you to count really first choice. And what you'll notice is it's going to be either A or B, right? So it's got to be one of them. It looks like A might win because it has 3 columns that it technically wins, and B only has 2. So you don't go off of the number of columns 1. You go off of the numbers, and you need to check the numbers, okay? Because if you notice, this one right here only got 55. Does that make sense? It only got 55. So if I check all the numbers, it should tell me who the winner is. So the best way to do that is to just add them up. So if I go to my Desmos calculator and I add 153, 102, and 55, 153, 102, and 55, double check my numbers are right. Click enter, I get 310. Well, let's check the other one. Let's check B because he got a really big chunk here at 202 and 108. And what you'll notice here is that they're both 310. Now, Bryson hinted at this because he kind of gave it away earlier. He asked, what kind of tie break do you want to use? What kind of tie break would you use as the answer? Well, I didn't really want to put a tie break in here and tip you off that there was a tie. You should put that A and B tie for first place. Then the instructions would tell you what tie break to use. Does that make sense? So it would tell you, we had 2 types of tie breaks back in 1.2. We had whoever has the fewest last place votes. And we had whoever wins in a head-to-head matchup if it was just A to B. The problem is it couldn't be a head-to-head matchup. Why? Because a head-to-head matchup would still be a tie, right? Because they both are first choice. Does that make sense? There can't be a head-to-head. So instead, what must be, if you were to break it down further, who gets the lowest first place, or last place votes, and B gets only 55, whereas A gets 108. You don't have to put that in there. I'm not asking you about that. The instructions will ask you in future questions who wins by tie break. Does that make sense? Have I lost you already? No. Yes. Yeah, man. 1.3 engage. So what's the answer to this? And B. A and B. The question specifically says who wins, so we would just simply put A and B tie with both having 310 first place votes. And I did change it. You only were able to see their replies because you had submitted it. So you can see the answer now because I submitted it. Again, this was a common mistake that I saw. We were looking at columns, not the total number. So don't just say A wins because it's on 3 first place ballots and not 2, right? That means 153 people had this unique ballot. You with me? Okay. All right. That's your engage to get us started and really to recap what we've already learned. We are going to learn of another method today. This method of finding a winner to an election is called polarity. Simple. Who's got the most first place? What if that's not fair? What if there's a tie? What do we do then? Right? And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more methods to try to just break down all of the fair ways of finding an election. Okay? I lie. 3 more. 3 more methods, including the one today. So again, just make sure that you're paying attention and following along with me, and everything should be peachy keen. As far as notes go, there will be a turn-in probably Wednesday for the notes that you have up to that day as a free, like, did you get all your notes in? Good. Scan them, turn them in. Here's a free 100.
The
And
easiest 100 in the history of 100, and people still don't do it.
yeah, I never, they just don't want to write stuff down.
And it must be in your own handwriting.
Shade.
There's no shade. It's just true.
No, it is true. It does need to be in your own handwriting. I might be dumb, but I'm not that dumb. Yeah. I got a video lesson for each, but I'm going to start just recording all of this and submitting it there too. So 1, 2, and 1, 3. There's a PowerPoint underneath you can get it from too. But I take those out in later units and literally just give you the teacher edition. So the board account method. Let me make sure I'm writing everything down as I should. This is called board account. We've got polarity, first place votes. Board account is something else. This is a new method to count and tally who wins a vote. So each, so what you'll write underneath, we'll do a couple bullets here. Each place or rank, like you would put first, second, third, fourth, right? Each place or rank on the ballot is assigned a point value.
So, for example, what you're trying to say, Paul, is that if I have 5 contestants, first place will get 5, second place will get 4.
Yeah, I mean, they would all have some place value. All right. And we're going to rank the candidates. So you're going to want to make sure you put rank candidates. And count up points. I'm going to tell you now, out of all the methods that we have, polarity, board account, polarity with elimination, pairwise comparison, those are our 4 methods. With all the methods we have, this one is the one people don't like the most. So you're lucky you're here for that one, for that day. People who aren't here, it makes it a little bit more challenging. And I'm not talking about people who aren't in the Google Meet, because they're good. They get the instruction, right? It's the people who aren't. Board account, you need to have the table there. You need a table. If you have a table, it makes everything so much easier, okay? It just organizes data a little bit better. So the other way we had polarity was like first place, most, you win. How do we determine who wins for Borda? And that's going to be the winner that has the most points. Now, I'm going to underline points. Highlight it, underline it, whatever, because it's not votes. It's not most first place votes. That's different. It's most points. How do they get points? We assign them a point value. Okay, so once we give them a point value, then we add them all up and say, you got the most points, you win. Meaning, I can get in 5th place on some ballots and still win because there's still a point value there, right? So based on your knowledge of the definition, do you think ties can happen in a board account method? And maybe is there some sort of real life example that you can think of where candidates are assigned a point value and voted on, maybe in athletics or in anything? Say that again? Racing? Okay, racing, you get points, and at the end of it all, you might come down to a tie, right? Because it's all point value. So, yeah, we might come down to a tie. Do you think it's possible? Yes. Racing is absolutely a way. You get point values per race. What else? There's some pretty obvious ones that when I say, you might not know that they are counted this way, but they are. Football, college football. What's the biggest thing? Not national title, but like for a player that you could get. Heisman Trophy, right? The Heisman is voted this way. I know. I always have to think about how to spell Heisman too. NFL or baseball, MLB or anything. These are players who were voted on by other players and coaches to be the best. What is that? MVP, right? You're assigned a point value. You're voted on. Who wins the most, right? I could stick with sports, college polls, right? The Associated Press will vote on who they think should be number one in football and basketball and tennis and whatever, right? Soccer. They will vote on which school they think needs to be number one. And then if you ever check it out at the bottom, they'll be like, NC State got 2 votes or Carolina got 1 vote. So college polls on who's the best in the country. Swimming. Anybody swimmer? You get point values, right? And that you can come into a tie. It's unlikely, but you can come into a tie at the end from swimming. Track, cross country, all the same. All the same. What's good about this method? What do you think is good? As opposed to like just looking at the first place, what would be good here? Could possibly have 2 winners. You could have 2 winners with first place, but like we're filling out a ballot based on who we think should be first, second, third, or fourth, right? So this takes every place into account, the whole ballot. We don't just look at number 1. We look at every piece of that ballot. So takes the whole ballot into account. I've gotten questions like, why are we filling out a preference ballot and schedule if all I care about is who's number 1? Why don't you just want me to put who's number 1 on the ballot? Because there's more than one way to figure out who's going to win, right? So if we take all of it into account, people might think it's a little bit more fair. And that's what all of this is about, right? Let's not get into politics. Let's avoid that. Let's look at a calculation example. Big word for a math class, right? Calculation. Whew. What do I expect you to do in here? Math? God. All right, here's one example. There is really no context to it. You don't need context to it. I'm going to scroll down, so I'm going to have to clear this just because I can't see my fourth candidate. You can, but the people at home can't. So
Let me make sure everybody got the notes before you go forward.
that's exactly what I was about to ask. Is anybody need more time writing this down? It's not a lot to write. Make it quick. What are you talking about? What don't you like? Don't tell me you can't use it to tell time, because it's literally the same spots as a normal clock. Well, I did have to take down the standard clock to put that up, so that was fun.
I like that clock. I can tell time on.
Yeah, but nowadays they grew up with the clocks up there, but they also grew up with the clocks right here. So there's a lot of people that don't know how to read that.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that don't understand quarter past and quarter till.
I know. All right, so calculation example. This is your entire table. They got it? Well, good, because I already cleared it. Here's our calculation example. So when we do this, what I'm going to do is assign a very simple, non-complex point value to each preference. There are 4 players. There are 4 candidates. What should we make the highest point value for them? Don't make it complicated. 4. There's 4 of them. 4 should be the highest point value, right? Who should get 4? Should 4th place get 4 points? First place should get 4 points, right? So 4. Which means that second place should get 3rd, and we just move down from there. It's just kind of like you put it backwards. Now, every time you see somebody in first place, you give them 4 points by the number of voters that gave them that. So A gets 14 first place votes times 4. I'm telling you, if you've been in class, I've told you the most you're going to have to do in this class is multiply and add. You might have to multiply by a fraction, but it's still multiply. Okay, I'm not asking you to do anything else. So 4 times 14 is what? 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 4 is 16. 40 plus 16, 56. So A got 56 points here. Those are not all the points that A got. Why? Because down here, A got 1 point how many times? 10. Now, this should be simple. It's just 10, right? A also got 8 points here, and A got 4 points here. Do you understand why a table is very helpful? Now what we're going to do is take all of A's points and add them together. So A got 56 plus 10 plus, so 66 plus 8, 74 plus 4, 78. So A got 78 points. Let's go through and do B. It takes a while. This is why people don't like it, but it is fair. So B got 3 points 14 times. How many points is that? 3 times 10 is 30. 3 times 4 is 12. 30 plus 12 is I know. 42. Let's go. B here. 10 times 3 should be quick. It's 30. 8 times 2 is quick. It's 16. And 4 times 4 is quick. It is 16. So, how many points did B get? Well, 42 and 30 is 72, right? 72 plus 16, 88, plus another 16. More. All right, quick recap. 42, 30. Something about we good? 72.
104.
Yes, 104 points. Y'all just look confused. All right, so even though B was only in first place 4 times, B won. Well, according to a head-to-head matchup there. What about C? Well, C gets 14 two-pointers, which is 28. 10 times 4, quick, that's 40. 8 times 3, that should be quick. I'm not going to tell you. What is it? Close. 8 times 3, 24. And then 4 times 2, 8. Now add those together. 28 plus 40, 68, plus 24. We say 68 plus 78, 88, plus 4, 92, plus another 8.
100 even.
And then lastly, we can do D, so 4 points. And really, you can just kind of fill out the rest of this table pretty simply here. And I will circle D so it doesn't get too congested in here. Even though D is not the answer or the winner, I'll circle them so you can see the numbers to add. 4 and 20, 24. Yes. Yes, 14 and 20 is 34 plus 32 plus 12. So that's 34 and 32, which is 66, plus 12, 78. Is that what you said? Oh. It's hard to hear from the masks, which is why I take mine off when I'm talking sometimes. So, A technically won by polarity. Don't you agree? Because they had the most first place votes. But using Borda count, they tied for last. It's just an interesting thing to note, right? B won by the Borda count. So B won by the Borda count. And I'll just write that up at the top. B won by Borda count. All right. So that is the calculation, use the table example. This is where you go through and type it or write it all into that table, add them all up, and then compare them on the side. I do have what some of you want is a shortcut, but some of you would disagree with me that it is a shortcut in a formula-based technique. Really, you could come up with this. It's not that challenging to come up with this example, this formula-based technique. But if we take a look at this table, are we ready to move on? Does everybody understand how we did this? Okay. when we move down here to the formula-based calculations, we're just putting a formula together that would make sense as to where I get my numbers from. So what am I doing? Well, I'm multiplying and then adding, right? That's it. Multiplying and then adding. So the first thing you need to do is figure out how many candidates are there? What's the most points that I could give? 4, right? Because there's 4 candidates. So let's just take red, for example. The most points red could get is 4. We would then multiply 4 by the number of first place votes that red would get. So red gets 5 and 6. So red gets 11 first place votes. We would then add that number to the number of third place votes that red gets. Red gets no, wait, am I missing something? No, red gets no second place votes. So 0. We would then add that in to the number of third place votes, which is 2 points, that red gets, which is 3. I'll do it again if I'm losing you. And then we'll add it in again to the number of fourth place votes, which is 8. There's your formula. You just multiply and add and get your answer. So 4 times 11 is 44, plus 0, plus 6, plus 8. It's essentially the same thing, just now written all out. Does that make sense? And then 44 plus 6 plus 8 gives us a total of what? 58. So red gets 58 points. We then do this for the next color. In this case, it would be green. So for green, 3 and 9. Thank you. So not 3, 3 and 9, which is a total of 12. Which does change our answer here and here. That's going to give us 24. So now how many points do we get now that we've got the right? Who pointed that out? Excellent. Thank you. As I make mistakes. That's 68 plus 8 for 76. You can use a calculator if this is, you don't want to do all the addition. I don't care. I'm not taking a calculator away from you. Now, don't be the person who grabs a calculator and's like, oh, good. I was just checking to make sure it didn't change. Okay. It's still 4. All right. But if you want to put all of that in there, Desmos will do all of that for you. Okay. For green, let's see. How many first place votes did green have? 9, just 9. How many third or second place votes did green have? 13. Excellent. You add those together. Third place votes, 6. And last place, 3. So, add it all in, multiply it all out together. What do you get? Well, here. Yeah, do that. 4 times 9 plus 3 times 13 plus 2 times 6 plus 1 times it was 8, right? No, 3. How many did we get? How many did we get? Looks like 90 to me. I can't see it cut off a little bit, but it looks like 90. Yeah, it's not. I trusted you. I just wanted to see it. There we go. 90. So right now, green's winning. Did you do blue? Blue was in first place, 8 plus 3, which is 11. Blue was in second place, 6 plus 9. 15. It was in third place, 5. And it was in last place, none. And I'm going to go ahead and do pink as well, just so that I don't have to, you guys can just tell me the answers. Pink was in first, none. I just jumped ahead. Second place was 3. Third place, sorry, this was second place. This is third place. Third place was 8. And then last place, nobody likes pink. 5 plus 6 plus 9, 20. Yes. It was 0. I just didn't write it down, and my brain went to the next thing. Pink is not in first at all, so it gets 0 points for that, just like red was not in third place. What was your total for blue? 99. And what was your total for pink? 40. So who wins? Blue with 99. Even though blue, well, I think that's pretty fair. First place, people chose blue twice. But green really snuck in to take second because, I don't know, maybe not. $20 plus 16 plus 6. So it's not 40, but it's close. There we go. Look what happens when I just trust y'all. That's why I got to have my answer keys. All right. Any questions on that? Because I'm going to give you a moment to do that next one on your own. If you flip the paper over, there is one table. There's only 3 columns, so you're not doing as much here. I've taken it down a notch, and I said, try this board account on your own. We will check it to see if you're right. People at home and people in here, can I get away from this formula-based one now? Yeah? All right, cool. So you're going to do this one on your own. Then we're going to get into a few exploratory questions and classwork after that. It's pretty quick. I guess it's not quick, but it's not hard. The people who watch this video later is going to have to skip ahead. Yes. Say that one more time. Just lift your mask a little bit. I didn't want y'all to hear specific questions from somebody. Bunch of nosy people. I don't know if I should give you B. I was just writing it down for those at home just because y'all are doing this one on your own, and so are they. So I was just kind of working through it. If that's what you're confused about. Did y'all get what I got? What do you mean? Oh, you put a 5. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, at least you know you do that. Are we good? Do we get it? Do you understand how B is the winner? Because the next question that I ask is going to be, does this violate any of the fairness criterions? And so you got to know that B wins. And then we got to talk about what those fairness criterion are. So before I move on, what questions do you have? Where'd I get what? For that should be 2, and that should be 3. You get 2 votes for 1 point, which is 2. Is that right? I'm gonna turn off my mic for just a second. Uh, 6 times 2, 2 times 2, and 3 times 2 for. This one? This one? This one or this one? Yes. Okay. I did the calculations example where I put it in each column. What you did was the formula example where you would have said A was in last place. I see where you're at. A was in last place 5 times. So 1 times 5. Gotcha. Are we on the same page now? Okay. So I did not do the calculations. This way, it's nice to have all the numbers out. They both work. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is more visual. The other one is more written. So, okay. Before I move on, again, any questions? What are we at?
Hey, Mr. Hall.
Hey, how are you?
So, I'm good. So, I don't know what's going on, but I think Canvas is shut down right now. And it says that I have no internet at all, but it lets me do everything else except for access anything through Canvas or my school account.
And you're at home?
Yeah, I'm at home. Like, I'm on my phone right now because everything on my computer just randomly shut down.
Try.
All you, buddy, because my Canvas is working.
I was going to say it's probably a home network issue, but
No,
Mine's
I
going-
mean, like, everything else on my computer is fine. Like, I can get on my on my other account for Google, like my actual account instead of my school account. But my school account, literally nothing works, and if I hit the browser, it says no internet.
Mine's doing the same thing.
oh, so it might
It's
be
for a lot of people, yeah. Like, it's not just me.
Okay. All right. Well, that as long as you get this right now, we can submit that other stuff later and it'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me know.
Mhm.
Okay. So back to violate any fairness criterions. We had two. Do you remember what they were? Were you in class? You flipping burgers? Picking up boxes, changing tires, changing the oil. Okay, so two criterions we had. One was majority, and it stated, to be fair, if a candidate wins the majority of the votes, then the candidate should win. How many votes do we have total here? 6 plus 2 plus 3. 11 votes, right? So we have a total of 11 votes. So the person who gets the most amount of votes, or the majority, should win. Who got the majority of the votes? A did get a majority. You got 6 out of 11, which is over 50%, right? So did A win? No, so it violates that criteria. Why? Because A did not win. It was the majority and A did not win. So it violates the majority criterion. What else? Well, our other one was called the Condorcet criterion. Condorcet basically means if you do a head-to-head matchup and this person wins every head-to-head matchup, then they should win. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you do A with anybody, A's going to win because they have the majority. If I go A to B, A wins 6, B wins 2, and B wins 3. So it's 6-5. A wins, right? Do you understand how I just did that? If I went A to C, it would be 6-5. A to D would also be 6-5. So A wins every head-to-head matchup, but A still loses. So it also violates the Condorcet criterion. So why did you give us the Borda count? Because I'm telling you, these are the different ways that they started and tried and still use to count an election. Okay? They still do this, but it's not always fair. All right, we got a few exploratory questions, and then we are going to jump to our practice. And for the people whose internet is out, as long as you're on the Google Meet, you should be okay to see the problems that you're doing. Well, they're saying Canvas is down, so they can't submit, and it's more than one person. Don't worry about it. It's fine. So exploratory questions, these are conceptual. Let's think about them. If we had an election that has 3 people running, okay, and there's 100 voters, what is the max number of points that a candidate could receive? What if a candidate receives all first place votes? How many points would you give them? 100 times 3. 300. That's the maximum points that they could receive, right? There's 100 voters and 3 candidates, so 100 times 3 is 300 points. So on par with that, what's the minimum? What if whoever the candidate is received last place every single time? No, that's close though. I know what you're thinking. It'd be 100 times 1 point, which is 100 points. See how data can be skewed. I got 100 points. Yeah, but you were literally last in everything. So that doesn't matter. It's like getting 0. Does this make sense? Votes times points. Most would be every vote for first place. Least would be every vote for last place. In an election with 4 candidates, we'll call them A, B, C, and D, how many points are given out by one ballot? So you got one ballot, right? If I go up the ballot, right, if I wrote the ballot like this, A, B, C, and D, how many points would A get? How many points would B get? C and D. How many points are on that ballot? right? 10. There are 10 points possible to give out. Understand why I say it's really hard not to do well? Ask questions if you need them. If there are 110 votes, what is the total number of points given out to the candidates?
1,100.
How'd you get that so quick?
So I wrote it out as a problem, and it's going to be 4 times 110 plus 3 times 110 plus 2 times 110 plus 110, and that equals out to 1,100.
So yes, you can break it down that way, but didn't we just establish that one ballot has 10 points? So 10 times all the votes that we have is 1,110.
Oof.
Or is it? Yeah. That's okay. However you can get there is fine. We do have 2 more questions to do. Let me know when I'm good to erase. Got it? Got it? Got it? All right. Let me erase and move down. And this is it. And then you'll practice. So if A has 320, B has 290, and C has 180, how many points does D have, and how'd you get it? Well, it's the same election, so 320, correct. Add them up, get your number, take that number and take 1,110. Actually, it's 1,100. Change your answer for to B. It's 1,100. And take that number and subtract it. I'm sorry. That's your answer. I just got caught up in my ones. 1110.
It's all right.
You should get whatever this is, subtract 310. If you need to know what that number is, again, don't make life complicated. 320 plus 290 plus 180 is 790. I'm literally telling you to use a calculator for everything. Is there an easy way to know if you made a mistake while doing this method? Do what? Add the votes up, and if they don't equal the correct number of points, something's wrong. So let's see, check if our points add to the total points. If they don't add up, you've done something wrong. If they don't add up, you've done something wrong. So this gives us about 20 minutes in class to do probably 2 questions for homework. So I'll let you get this. I'll move to 1.3 homework, and I will modify whatever's on the page because I haven't changed it since last semester to reflect how many questions you need to do.
If you can't show that this is a good time to ask a couple questions.
I'll add a new video there. Yep. Actually, no, I've already modified it. Do number 17 and number 19. 17 and 19. And here they are. I don't think 19 does not have any more problems besides that right there. So people at home, you can pin this and look at it for those two questions. Yeah, go ahead and take a screenshot if Canvas is not working. Separate sheet of paper, yes. Yes, and I've told you at the beginning, I don't print this off because you can't write on it. I know a lot of, plus I found all of them in the trash can when people left because it's on Canvas. So I'm not wasting my copies. Sorry. I mean, it's all on the phone. I know Canvas isn't working. Take a screenshot. People at home, other people, look up there. If you can get on Canvas, get on Canvas. And I'm going to stop the recording.